So Twitter could soon see a massive layoff if Elon Musk takes over. According to the Washington Post, the billionaire told investors he wanted to cut 75% of the workforce if the deal for him to buy the company goes through. This would erase more than 5,000 jobs. A downsize this large has many experts worried about how the site would be able to monitor harmful content, misinformation, even security risks. A judge gave both parties until next Friday to reach an agreement on the deal to buy the company after months of back and forth. In recent weeks, several companies have announced layoffs, and Sarah Foster, the senior U.S. economy reporter for Bankrate, joins us now live to discuss all of this. Sarah, thank you so much for your time today.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
So according to this poll by Bankrate, Sarah, 56% of Americans who found a better paying job are now worried about job security. But the question is, should they be?
Well, this is the million-dollar question that economists, it's maybe not so comforting. They say it depends. The good news here is that the job market is still relatively strong. Obviously, we've seen some signs pop up in sectors like the technology industry, for example, where layoffs are on the rise. But overall, we're seeing that there are still 10 million job openings. There's relatively quick new ways that individuals are finding new positions once they do face layoffs. So we've seen continuing claims for unemployment insurance be below 2019's average for 35 straight weeks. This is all a really good sign, but lots of economists also do say that there are storm clouds on the horizon and recession risks have risen.
They've risen, but I'm curious what's behind this, because I've also seen a lot of experts say that if there is a recession, it's going to be a mild one. It may last 6 to 9 months. So how do you think that's going to impact the job market, if at all? You know, to your point, you were just saying there are 10 million jobs out there. I was reading a report that said there are nearly 2 jobs for every person in America who is looking for one. So do you think this would have a huge impact on the job market?
Well, I think the hope is that this relatively, robust, historically strong job market will help workers be in at least a better position if we were to face a recession. So you're absolutely right. I think the caveat is that obviously recessions are pretty much as hard to predict as the weather. But economists say that the reason why these risks are rising is tied to the Federal Reserve's deliberate plans to slow the economy to hopefully cool inflation. And so higher interest rates, while they do squeeze businesses, they definitely squeeze households. This isn't necessarily a financial crisis. And so that's why a lot of economists like to say that, we could be facing a recession, but historically speaking, it could be a bit milder. And so for the job seeker, I think what that shows is that it's just really important to start working on your skill sets, making sure that you know what about yourself brings value to a company, and then finding ways that you can demonstrate that value.
Yeah, these are all great tips. And, to your point, corporate profits are at a 70-year high. Unemployment is at 3.5%. So the economy seems strong, but the possibility of recession obviously has been on people's minds over the past year. And a potential companion of recession, of course, layoffs. So do companies generally go by seniority when they choose who to keep?
Well, I think this last one hired, first one fired phenomenon is something that's talked about so often in the job market that we have the phrase about it. But economists at the end of the day say that it really depends who's let go. A lot of times marketing budgets are cut first. Sometimes contract workers are cut. It's sometimes something that people look to, especially for workers who might be new to a job. Maybe they don't have as much training or seniority as others who are been on the job for longer. But at the end of the day, it's not really the rule for businesses across the economy. So what I think this shows is that it's just really important for workers to maybe look at their own individual companies and figure out what their long-term strategic plans are. So maybe you can see if you would be the one at risk.
Yeah, no, it was great advice. And, job openings, they continue to fall. I've been talking about how there are 10 million jobs available out there right now, but not all industries are equal. They're not all the same. What industries have been seeing less openings? Which ones are seeing the most right now?
Yeah, well, what's really eye-opening right now is that every single industry that the Department of Labor tracks has elevated job openings compared to before the pandemic, but all of them have also come down from their peak during that so-called Great Resignation, where we saw the most booming job market really in half a century. I think the industries that still have relatively strong job openings are those leisure and hospitality, those food service and accommodation workers. Those are definitely the ones that have been hit the most by the Great Resignation, especially as you've seen some workers be hesitant to come back out of fears of catching the virus. Maybe some individuals have still struggled with childcare. Maybe those hours aren't working well for them. But on the flip side, it's really those professional and business services positions that are losing the most job openings, the higher prevalence of layoffs, even if they are historically still very low.
Yeah, the job market has been really tight and companies have been struggling to hire. So hopefully if there is a recession, that will mean it won't be as bad. Sarah Foster from Bankrate, thank you so much for your time and your expertise today. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
So to come on Newsy Live, former British Prime Minister Boris Johnson may be eyeing a comeback.